Good afternoon, this is Nicholas from Gandor Gaming, and look at my Tier Element branded deck profile. I think this is one of the coolest decks in the format. I think it's one of the strongest decks in the format, and I can't wait to show it off to you guys. Let's get this right underway. If you don't know about Tier Elements, they're the new fusion archetype that just got released, and they're pretty broken, and we'll go over them right now. Tier Elements are a fusion-based water warrior dark archetype where their whole gimmick is that they shuffle themselves back into deck, the fusion summon. Basically, when they're sent to grave, you fusion with cards on the field or grave or hand, which is really stupid because all of them are show polys, except the Reinhardt, which we'll get into right now. So Reinhardt is your Armageddon Knight. This guy is stupid. Basically, what he does is that when his card is normal or special summon, you get to send a Tier Element, I believe, monster to grave, and then when it's sent to grave, you just basically just send to grave. It's just stupid, because when you send a Tier Element triggers, thus, you get to freely fusion summon. It's a one-card fusion, which is really good. Not to mention, it's a water level 4, meaning Bahamut Shark access and pure builds. And also, it's a warrior, meaning you can search this with reinforcement in the army. And because it's listed in the material for Tier Element Kaleido Heart, we can also summon this off Fusion Deployment. This card is literally perfect in every way, and I can't wait to show you more about him. But he also has the effect of when this card is sent to grave, you can send a Tier Element, I believe, from your hand to grave in order to special summon this card, and then you just get to trigger it. So it's just stupid. So basically, let's say you didn't activate his effect this turn, right? You use Foolish Burial, send Rhino Heart to grave. Rhino Heart effect triggers. You get a discard every Tier Element, special summon this guy, Foolish. The Tier Element you discard, it will trigger, and the whatever you Foolish will trigger, which is really stupid. Really strong card, and this is a card you want to stop, in the main deck at least. Next we play 3, sorry if I mispronounce their names, I think it's Siren? Shizrin? I can't pronounce her name, but she's the other higher rarity Tier Element in the main deck. She's really cool. To me, she's like alright. Basically, what she does is that if you control, basically, you can special summon her during your main phase by discarding I believe, a monster or a Tier Element. Let's find out, shall we? Send one monster. So it doesn't matter what monster you send, you can just discard it, special summon her, and then when she's special summoned, she mills 3. All the Tier M elements have the effect when they're normal or special to mill 3, except her. She only on special. But she also has the effect like the other Tier elements, where when she's sent to grave, she's a quick effect fusion, which is really good. It's the reason why DD Crow is stupid in this format, because, well, you can DD Crow their effects in grave. Thus, they won't trigger because they'll be used themselves as material. She's just a really strong card. Basically, just discard a card and bam, she's on the field now. And she's milling 3, which is stupid. This deck likes to mill. Next, we play 3 Hoffiness. Hoffiness is a really good card. I wish it came in a high rarity, but A, it makes the deck cheaper, so what do you hear? Hoffiness is stupid. So Hoffiness plays on your opponent's turn. When your opponent activates a card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, mill the top 3 cards of your deck, which is stupid, because if you hit a Tier Element or a Shadol, it just trigger, which is really good. It also has the effect of when this card is sent to grave, fusion summon, which is just really strong. A very powerful card, and it's a level 3 water, dark aqua, my apologies. So there is synergy to play a lure. The only water in his deck is Rhino Heart. So there is synergies there. Plus it gives you access to, if you're playing a Secret Punk version, it's a level 3, so you make 6s with the punks. Or you can make a whole bunch of different levels. So just a really cool, interesting card. Next, we play 3 Morel. Morel is really strong. She's a great normal, besides Rhino Heart. Basically, she has the effect of when she's normal or special summon, you mill the top 3, which is amazing. And then when this card is sent to graveyard by card effect, like they all do, you fusion summon, which is really good. And it's just a really strong card. All 3 of these. Now when they shuffle, they all shuffle when they fusion. So they don't banish themselves like Brandon does. They all shuffle themselves. So that's a really interesting mechanic. It's really cool because you never run out of cards. Because if these guys get milled, they'll just trigger and then you shuffle them back in deck and then you just do them again the next turn or on your opponent's turn, which is really, really stupid. So yeah, that is it for the tier elements. We play 3 of all 4 of them. You min-max them. There's not one we're not cutting. Maybe in other builds, maybe one day we'll cut one, but I think it's just too strong right now. Next, we play 2 Luber Dubers. Anyone knows Despia, they know this guy's in the nuts. This guy has a crazy effect of where when this guy's normal or special summon, you add a branded spell or trap for your deck to your hand, which is really great. He's not the focus in his deck, so he's a 2 of, but he's not a bad normal either because he adds Brand Fusion, and Brand Fusion is stupid. But he's a really good engine, and because he's our only Despia that we play, it helps us access into our Despian monsters in the extra deck, which is really, really cool. He also has the effect of when this card's in grave, you get to basically protect your fusions, because when they die or leave field, it reborns itself and then negates a monster your opponent controls, which is cool. It's just a really, really strong 1800 beat stick. And it's also dark, so lure targets. Next, we play 2 of our Super Poly Boy, Fallen of Alaz. This guy's amazing. Basically, when this card is normal special summon, you can discard 1 card, doesn't matter the card, and you use Super Poly to board away, which is really, really cool. He treats himself as material. He's just Super Poly on legs. Really, really strong card. You dump him off Brand Fusion, do your Brand Fusion combos. If you know that deck, you know how he works. Really, really good essential. You need him as a 2 of. And then for our last monsters, we play 1 Schemata and 1 Beast. These are 2 really, really strong cards. They're our Shaddoll package. We play Shaddolls Schemata to send Beast, and then when Beast is sent, you draw a card, which is pretty really good. The only reason why we play these is because since they fuse something from grave, hand, or field, you can actually make a window really easy in this deck by just milling a Shaddoll. So we don't need a big engine, we just need like 2 of them. And this is just a really cool resource loop that ultimately is just pretty strong. And now that is it for the monsters. Let's get on to the spells and traps. And oh boy, we got some powerful spells in a minute. Alright, so now it's time to go on to the spells and traps. First things first, we play 3 Primal Planet Permino? I'm not actually sure how to pronounce this. Permino, Perferno. It's the one with all the multiple universes on it. It's a really good field spell. So let me go into this. Basically, what this card does is that when this card's activated, you get to add a tier element, which is already good. So any field spell that's a Rhoda is amazing. It also has the effect of every time you would, not every time, but once per turn, every time that you would shuffle monsters back for a fusion summon, you get to blow up a card on your opponent's field, which is really, really good. It's during either player's turn, so it's also removal. So it's a removal card, and also it just adds, plus all fusion monsters, all monsters on your field gain 500. It's just stupid. You make all your dudes gigantic. I mean, straight up, like Predaplant Draco Stapelia. He's usually a 2700. With this field source on the field, he's a 3100. That's a really big Draco Stapelia to get around. This is a really, really powerful card. Not to mention that it's a starter is stupid, because this is a 1-card fusion, because this gets you into Reinhardt, and Reinhardt is a 1-card fusion, which is stupid. Next, we play Terraforming. Terraforming is a really good card to get to that, because, of course, there's like 5 1-0s in here, so let's get to them. We play Foolish Burial, because obviously, when any tier element is sent to grave, you get to basically activate their fusion effects. You can also send Shaddoll cards, and you get the Shaddoll effects. It's whatever you want to send. If you need to draw 1, you get to draw 1. If you want to send a tier element that you name, you can send a tier element name, which is a really, really good card. Next is Call by the Grave. It's a 1 hand trap removal. I was thinking of playing Crossout, but I don't know what to put in for the hand traps. There's definitely rooms to shave this archetype. When it comes to like ratios, I think the monster ratio is perfect. I think the spells and traps might be a little touching, but I don't know. This is the build I really like and what I've been playing testing online. But of course, I need to play it in a physical card game, so hopefully my results today will show. Now, sadly, there's no tournament today because of reasons, but basically we'll be able to play against a friend and see how that goes. Next, we play Insuffusion. Insuffusion is a really, really strong card. Now, this is literally a 1-card starter because Kaleido Heart is a level 5, meaning you can just Insuffusion your best fusion and straight up combo with it. It's pretty stupid. If any archetype was to get Instant Fusion banned, this might be it. You can also Instant Fusion the Relinquish card, which we don't have yet in our deck. But it is a really, really strong card. This card is amazing. And finally, for one-ofs is Rhoda. Rhoda is a really good card. Like I said, it just searches Rhino Heart. It's just a really good card. And you can't say no to it. It's Rhoda. You can play it. Any deck that can play Rhoda will play it. And that is it for our one-of spells. Now we're going to go back to our three-ofs. We played 3 Fusion Deployment. Now this card might be crazy to you guys. Why are you playing Fusion Deployment? Well, Fusion Deployment is a really, really sick card. Basically what this does is that you reveal a fusion in your extra deck, special summon its material from deck, and then you just are locked in the fusions for the rest of the turn. But you know what? That doesn't matter. You know why that's amazing? This can summon out Rhino Heart. It can also summon out our favorite Fall of Albaz. Meaning, we can not only have this is a 1 card, well, technically you need another card in hand because he discards or Super Poly, but you can just basically bait out things with this guy. Not to mention, you can summon out Rhino Heart without using your normal summon, which is pretty sick. And there's another way to get to Rhino Heart. It's a really, really strong card. I think it's underrated. And now we play 3 Branded Opening. Now this card I wish was cheaper, as I said in the last deck profile. But hey, what is what it is. Branded Opening is a really, really strong card. Basically, you discard, not as cost, which is really important because all the Tearlaments must be discarded as effect, not cost, or they will not trigger. They're like the Shaddolls. So if you activate, for example, Lubellion affected discard of fusion summon. You, by discarding a tier element, would not trigger the trigger the tier element. But Branded Opening, discarding the tier element will, because it's discarding as effect, which is really, really good. And the fact that you can just special summon out Dubers without using your normal is pretty good. And also you can just banish it to protect your fusions is just icing on the cake. So milling it isn't half bad either. And then we play for our final 6 spells. We play Branded Fusion because this card's stupid, and Super Poly. Now Super Poly is the iffy card on this. Out of all the ratios, this is the card when it comes to the spells I'm debating about. It's like almost a 40 card deck. I had 3 slots. Well, it's 42. It's 42 cards. So I was like, I could cut some of the traps, but I really want to test them out and see which ones are better and which ones are not. But I just had some room, and I just want to play Super Poly. Super Poly is just a really good card. We got a new fusion that's basically another Super Poly target. And I feel like if you go and get a mirror match, Super Poly is just a really, really strong card. And against, who knows what we'll be doing against, either Splites or Exo Sisters, who knows what we're going to deal with. But I feel like Super Poly is a really strong card because they can't respond to it. That's the other reason why we're going to play this. And finally, for our traps, yes, a fusion archetype does play traps. It plays 4 to be exact. Now, you could probably shave one of them, but I'm still figuring out which one I like more. So, here we are. We have Meta Noise, Skulkin, and Crimea. So, these are all really good. I think this one's the best, Meta Noise. Meta Noise basically says, hey, if you, control a tier element monster, you can just quick effect, send a tier element from deck, and book a Moon monster, which is really, really strong. And because you not only book the Moon monster, you send a tier element from deck, unless you get the fusion on your opponent's turn. Really, really strong card. Next we have is Sulkin. Sulkin's a continuous trap. Basically it says if you control a tier element monster, you send a tier element monster you control to then negate a monster your opponent controls. That means you can send like a tier element monster on the field, send it to grave in order for it to trigger to negate a monster. And it's a once per turn on field, which is really, really strong. And Chimera is your counter trap, where basically when a monster, spell, or trap activates and you control a tier element, you can discard 1 card to negate and destroy that card, which is really, really strong. Because if you have a tier element in hand, you can just discard it for Chimera. You can negate Mystic Mind. I've seen some people play 2-1 and none. I've seen some people play 2-1 none. But I really want to try both. I feel like against Mystic Mind and like trap heavier decks, this is really stronger. Or like decks that are like main decking Dark Ruler, which I think could possibly replace this. But personally, I just like it as a one-up. They also have grave effects, so milling them isn't bad either. Meta Noise, I believe, adds a... What's it called? I gotta remember each one. So I know this one, when this card's set to grave, you can banish it to then add a tier element from deck, which is really, really strong. If I remember that effect correctly, this card says the graveyard, add a tier element monster. It does not banish. Okay, so you don't have to banish it. It's just when this card is set to grave, add the tier element, which is really, really good. This one adds from banish, which is like the least important. And then this one, I gotta remember what this guy does. Add one for your hand. Alright, so adds from grave, adds from banish, adds from deck. As you can see, that add from deck is pretty nice. So milling it isn't too bad. I also considered cutting Crimea and playing 2 Sulky, 2 Metamoist. But these are just player preferences. You can figure out your own ratios. I think these are just really, really strong cards. And that is it for these spells and traps. Let's go on to the extra deck. Time for the extra deck. We play 1 Kaleido Heart. This guy's really, really strong as a boss monster. With the field spell on the field, he comes at 3,500. And basically what he does is when a monster is fusion summoned, including himself, you get to send 1 card your opponent controls to grave. Not grave, back to deck. Which is really, really strong. This guy is it's 2 tier elements and a Rhino Heart. I know it says 2 Aqua, so technically you can make it with something else, but we don't play Swap Frog, so it's always going to be a tier element monster. It's just a really, really strong card. If he had if it was just 1 plus, like it could, in Rhino Heart plus another tier element, it'd be a lot stronger. But it's a good one of. It's just a really strong card, and also it has the effect of when this card is destroyed by card effect, you can reborn it and then send a tier element from deck to grave, which is really, really stupid. So there's a combo where you make this guy, have your field spell destroy him, he resurrects himself with his effect, and then you dump a tier element and tier element fusions. It's a really, really strong combo, and if I have time, I'll show it. Next, we play 2 Kitakalos. This card is amazing. It's your instant fusion target, and it's a really stupid card. It's a level 5, so it's a fusion, of course. But it also has the effect of when this card is special summon, you add a tier element spell or trap. This is how you add the trap cards, which are stupid. Well, it technically adds anything. It can add a monster, it can add a spell. It also can dump as well. So you get the option of either Rhoda, or you get the option of Foolish. It's just really, really strong. And then this card has the effect that you can send it to grave, special summon a tier element from hand, and then when this card is set to grave, you mill, I believe, 5? Yeah, you have to go set to grave. How many do you get to send? No, it's 3. No, it's 5 cards. I was right. 5 cards. Yeah. So she's a mill 5, which is stupid. So in the course of a combo, you're just milling your whole deck. It's really stupidly strong. And yeah, she's stupid. Alright, so the extra deck ratios are still iffy. I don't know if I should play 2 Ice Jade or 1 Ice Jade. Right now I'm playing 2. If I need more room, I'll cut 1. But Mara Jade is a really, really stupid card. So basically, anyone who doesn't know Branded, you're living under a rock if you're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! But basically what he does is that he's a quick effect. Send a monster from your extra deck to grave to banish 1 card your opponent controls, non-targeting. You can only use his effect basically once that turn, every other turn. Meaning that if you activated this on your turn, you can't activate it until your next turn. If you did this on your opponent's turn, you can't do it until your opponent's turn. But however, he is per copy, meaning if you have him and then you Branded Fusion in the old combos and bring him back, you can then banish again. Because there's only once per copy, but you can only control once of them per turn. He's a really, really strong card. Also, when he dies, end phase, he blows up all monsters your opponent controls, which is just stupid. Next, we play 2 Lebellion. Lebellion is a crazy, really good card. Basically, what he does is that you discard 1 card and you shuffle him and another card. Oh, you don't have to shuffle him. You just shuffle materials from grave, hand, or field back into deck or banish. It doesn't matter. And then you get to fusion summon, which is really, really strong. You play 1 of this guy, Branded Dragon, Albion. We never actually make him. We just dump him off the Mirror Jade in order to set a branded card during our end phase. This is a really, really strong card. And absolutely. Next to play Mirror Jade. Oh, not Mirror Jade. Masquerade. One Masquerade. I wish I could play two, but there's not enough room. Masquerade says every time you put an activates card effect, you burn for 600. And basically, he's an easy way to make him because any Mirror Jade, any tier element plus a Despy and a Luber is basically Blazing Dragon, which is stupid. So not only are you burning him, burning your opponent, but he floats. So when he dies, he has a once per turn effect where he can come back, but he's banished when he leaves the field, which is really, really good. Because what you can do is you can bring him back as a shield. He dies, and then you just shove him back in deck. It's just really, really stupid. Next, we play one Despian Quadralist. This guy's really cool. He's a new inclusion into the deck. Basically, what he does is that he's basically a quick effect, make all monsters your opponent control become 0, besides level 8 or higher fusion monsters, which is really, really strong. And he also has the effect where basically when he dies by card effect by your opponent, he floats, which is really, really cool. And you can just float into some really cool stuff. Next we play Titanic Cider. He's another card that's a super poly target, and also when he's sent to grave, he also basically special summons a Fallen of Albaz or adds it to hand, which is really, really strong. So you can super poly the board during the end phase. Really, really strong card. A card that really got really important support is Drago Stapelia. This card's stupid now in this format. Basically, what he does is that once per turn, the target one monster your opponent controls, its attack becomes, its level becomes level 1, and its effects are negated as long as he's on field, which is really, really good. He's a really good card, and we can make him really easy in this deck. Unlike the branded deck where you end in like 3 fusions at like the best board ever, this deck can end in like 5 fusions plus a window, which is really, really stupid. And Drago Stapelia is just a really strong card. And finally, for our super poly target, we play one Garuda, the Wings of the Resurrected Life. It has an effect where it does double damage when it attacks, which is alright. But what matters is that his material are 2 monsters of the same type and attribute with different names, meaning it's a super poly target. And when this card is sent to grave off like Ultimate Slayer, you have to draw 1 card. Just really, really strong. And finally, Winda. We can make Winda now. Winda's stupid. Hands down, one of the strongest fusions ever made. Bannable for sure. This card, literally, you can summon it during your opponent's turn 1. It's so stupid. It's like, okay, they want to die roll, they go first, and then you win to lock them. It's of course it's lucky. You have to have a Shadal in hand or in grave, but when it resolves, and they're stuck underneath a window, they just auto scoop. It's just such a powerful and evil card, and I'm happy we get to play it. That is it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. And let's go on to the side deck. Hello. Okay, so now it's time for the side deck. Now, I will say this. This whole deck profile is not for the faint of heart. This is a very expensive deck. And so is the side deck. That should probably show. Dark Rule is pretty cheap, as you can see. But then immediately afterwards, Ultimate Slayer. Yep, we play 3 of them. We haven't tried the card yet. I haven't even used this card once. But basically, I just got my playset yesterday. And it would be remiss of me not to put it in the deck profile. Because this card is amazing. This card basically says, hey, I know how Dark Ruler is like only for all monsters, but you don't do any battle damage. This card says, hey, you get to have your battle damage, but only affect 1 monster. And you just shuffle it back in deck, which is so good. Basically, how this card works is that you target 1 monster. Your opponent, it doesn't target. Like, does it? Actually, don't even know. Your monsters can't respond to it, so I actually don't know. Opponent can't respond to this card. Send. Yeah, it sends. So basically, how this card works is that you activate it. Your opponent can't respond with monster effects. You send a monster they control to grave by sending a monster with the same typing as it from your extra deck. Meaning it only goes after extra deck monsters. So against Flunderies, this card's useless. But if you're going against, let's say, Sword Soul, right? And they have a Synchro board. Well, with this card, you can send Elder Entity. Oh, no, it's Synchros. You can send Herald of Arclight. You can send Wind Pegasus. You can send whatever you need to just send that card into the send that thing back into the deck, and then you just removed it. It's just really, really strong. And I think you only activate this once per turn, right? All right, once per turn, right?
I got very lucky with those tournament events.
Your opponent, it's not once per turn. Oh, I did not know that. This card's not once per turn. Holy shit. You gave my live reaction to this card right now. This card's not once per turn. That's stupid. If you have multiple of these in hand, you can literally just send their whole field to grave. Send it all back to deck. Oh, that's so stupid. I didn't know it was not once per turn. That's stupid. That's crazy. This card, crazy. You need it. Lightning Storm, really strong card against back row decks. And also, good bait for monster-heavy negate decks. Droll, because too many decks lose to it. And... Alright, so I know you're already thinking, why the fuck are we playing this guy? Well, to be honest, it was either this or Crow. The DD Crow is really good in this format, and I really want to try out the Kaiju, and I have 3 of it. So that's why we're playing the Kaiju. Droll's really good against Drytron and Flunder, which we have bad matchups against because they make boards that we can't interact with. So we lose because Vanity Ruler's mean and a Penguin's mean. So yeah, that's why we play Droll. And as for this guy, I'm going to try. So these two are testing out. Now, you're definitely staying. You're probably getting replaced. But I still want to test it out. Basically, what this card says is every time your opponent activates a monster effect, you can then tribute that monster during your turn. And it gains 1,500 attack for each one. So let's say you bait out your opponent. Make them use like a couple of their negates. They have an Appaloosa. They have a Boros Savage. They have whatever. They made a nasty-ass board. You make them use a couple of their negates. You have like 2 or 3 cards left in hand. You tribute their whole board away. Summon out this guy who gains 15. So you tribute 3. Let's say they have this is Rockets, and you're going against like that. You tribute like their Borland, their Baron, and maybe an Appaloosa. If they made Appaloosa, probably not, but let's just say they did. And then this thing literally is now a 4,500, and you just need 2 cards to go for game. You just need to get it big enough, and I think this guy's pretty interesting. Plus, it's another way of kaijuing, which is not using your... It doesn't restrict you. Like, Lava Golem says you can't normal. It sucks. This card is kind of like Lava Golem, but you can normal. But your opponent has to activate those effects first, which is iffy, but I want to test it out. It's probably going to be replaced, but I really think this card's kind of cool. Plus, the artwork's sick as hell. Look at the dragon. Crazy. Anyway, y'all take care. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. We'll probably replace these, but other than that, I think the side deck's pretty solid. All right, you all take care. Bye-bye.